Kids don't forget.
Kids don't forget.
You kids don't forget.
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 Edward, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Every day's a good day.
Very excited that you came through. Appreciate you being here. So, right off the bat, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes.
Has it ever been mispronounced in the history of your life?
Not really. I mean, people mess around using different variations to mess around, you know.
Right. Okay. Well, what were some of your nicknames growing up?
E-Dub, Big Edward.
Okay.
To Spaghetti Eddie Spaghetti.
Okay. Who called you E-Dub?
It was just some, you know, when we was doing freestyle or trying to rap a little bit back in the day when we were kids.
Okay. Who called you Eddie Spaghetti?
Everybody. And specifically, my neighbor used to always call me Big Edward. Big Edward.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Camden.
New Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up in Camden majority of my life and, you know, lived there majority of my life.
Okay. How would you well, first of all, do you claim a specific neighborhood?
I mean, I grew up close to about 9 years in Abilene Village, AV.
Okay.
And whatnot. I lived in different parts of Camden, like Mount Ephraim, McGuire, Mechanic Street, Utah Street.
Okay. So, Mechanic Street is downtown. McGuire is in East Camden.
Yes.
And you also said, did you say Utah?
Yeah, Utah Street. It's in East
Camden.
Yeah,
right. And Abilene Village is in, debatably, in East Camden or Kramer Hill.
AV's AV because you got before North Camden, before Kramer Hill, before East Camden.
It's like right in the intersection of those three.
The same thing goes with that. The East State is East State.
Right.
Before the bridge.
How would you describe Camden growing up?
Camden growing up
for you.
I mean, everything with Camden, you see a lot going on that probably shouldn't be going on, but the way I took it is, you know, you don't bother nobody, they ain't gonna bother you.
Okay.
So, you know, even though people were, you know, involved in, you know, drugs or whatever like that, I was a kid just seeing things and trying to learn from them the best I could.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now, if you spent the majority of your time at Abilene Village, how would you describe AV growing up?
AV growing up, I mean, typically, we was really tight after a while. A lot of us, you know, would play sports all the time. Do things from, you know, robbing the trains for flares, playing hide and seek in the bandos, to, you know, just having fun. I remember breaking crates and putting crates up for basketball nets because the adults was on the court, the older kids was on the court.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the bond we had is like something I never experienced in my life.
How would you describe the neighborhood physically? Like, is it row houses? Is it single family homes?
It's like row apartments.
Okay.
But it's like, you know, public housing, but it's like a complex.
Okay.
Like 200, 300 apartments in it.
Right.
And I was in 71.
Okay. So is that like the front, the back, the middle?
It's towards the front.
Towards the front. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had just so it's a lot of kids that come through there.
There's a lot of kids that was through there, but like everybody knew mostly everybody.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you know where I lived because I was the only one with the wooden porch on the back of it. And they put a wooden porch, a ramp for my grandfather because he was in a wheelchair eventually.
Okay. What is the I guess the racial what would you say the racial percentages are in Camden and in particularly in Abilene Village?
I mean, the racial percentage is hard to say. I mean, but I remember there was another white family that, you know, was all white towards the 200 section or 150 or something like that.
Okay.
And there was a couple of different white, you know, my best friend's mother was white. You know, his grandmother and his aunt were white. But really, other than that, and me, my uncle, my mother, and my grandparents,
You could count the white families on one hand.
yeah, probably two.
So you were like the minority in the middle of the hood.
Yeah.
Would you say you were like the white boy in the middle of the hood?
I mean, AV, yeah.
AV, right,
Everybody
right.
either call me White Boy Ed or AV Ed,
Right.
But like it gets a bad thing because a lot of people over the years, me being white out there, they think I'm either out there for drugs, being the cops and stuff like that. Always pull me over. I'll be on my own step. They tell me I gotta keep it moving. Like, why do I gotta keep it moving? This is my step. And they ask me for ID and da. They like, all right, have a nice day.
Right.
And now, why'd you stop me?
Right.
They don't want to answer that.
So that's an interesting thing because a lot of the people I've interviewed, like they might have spent like 2 years in a white neighborhood where they had to go to a white school and they was one of the only black kid in the white school or one of the few black kids. For you, it was the reverse. You're like the only white kid in the hood.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
I mean, I went to Powell first, or Dudley first, and then I went to Powell and then Pine Point.
Okay.
Dudley, I was only there maybe a month or so, and I don't remember any other white kids in that school.
Okay. That's the elementary school.
And then when I went to Powell School, there was a girl named Mary that was white.
Okay.
And other than that, I don't remember anybody for the 3 years I went there.
Right.
Or a couple years I went there. Then I went to Pine Point, and I really don't remember anybody else that was white because if you went AV, all the people was, my friends was going to vets.
Okay.
For some reason, they had me going to Pine Point.
Right. So, is it true that kids really don't care? Meaning, like I'm going to assume that all your friends were black and Spanish or Latino
Or mixed, yeah.
or mixed. Okay.
Yeah.
You're the only white kid.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. You just one of the guys.
I mean, there was a couple, like I said, girls with the family that lived in AV.
Okay.
So male-wise, I mean, I went out with one of them, for my first girlfriend ever. But
Right.
other than that, like, a lot of people didn't treat me different from AV. Like, I've had people tell me, like, you ain't white, Eddie, you black.
Right.
And I didn't really, I was confused by it, but just by my circumstances, where I was, like, I felt like I was a part of them, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And they felt like, you one of us.
That's cool. So you never felt like you stood out or any different. You was just that was your neighborhood.
Yeah, not in AV, but like when I was going to school in North, there was different kids from North Camden and that area, and sure, I felt like I was being treated different. Maybe because of that, or I was poor and had talking sneakers on, and not the best clothes, and I was kind of a little overweight.
Okay.
So
Okay. So I think you mentioned your brother. So you were not an only child?
I was my brother was born and taken away his first year on this earth because my mom started doing heavy drugs, and my mom and his father split. So all I know is he took him with him.
Okay.
And
Oh, y'all had different dads. Same mom, different dads.
I never met my father. I don't even know who he is to this day.
Okay.
So he would bring him around every now and then for the first few years of his life. Then he just stopped coming around.
Okay.
So for a long time, I didn't have no contact with him.
So you have a little brother that you know of, but basically you grew up as an only child.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I mean,
Were you spoiled?
nah.
No.
I mean,
Okay.
Up till I was 8, I had a typical normal life, except we moved a lot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Every year or so we moved. After I was 5, for the next 3-4 years, we moved a lot, like 4 times. So when I hit, 9 or so, I went to a foster home for about 6 months.
How did that happen? Do you remember?
Well, my mom started using drugs, couldn't pay rent because they split up, and then I was put in my grandfather's care. They wound up losing that apartment, and, they couldn't take me and to live with them in the car, so they just came to get me. I wouldn't let go of the bedpost, so, they left without me, and then my grandfather talked to me and said, I'll get you back out of the foster home if you just go until we get a place.
Okay.
So I agreed to go in there, and, I didn't have a good experience being in the foster care.
Was it in Camden?
No, it was in, like, one of them far out neighborhoods like Washington Township, Atco.
Okay.
they like tried to force like religion on me, and kept us in the basement primarily all the time. Besides like Bible studies and all that stuff.
Right.
Me and this other foster kid was there, so I think I acted out by like writing curse words on stuff and acting up.
So wait. When you say they kept you in the basement, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
We went to school, we would eat dinner, and they would tell us to go in the basement.
Okay, so you weren't like locked down there or something like that.
Pretty much, they told us not to come up.
Okay.
And there was beds down there, and probably in like 4 or 5 months, we watched like a half an hour of TV, and we just stayed in the basement, and we weren't in school.
Okay. So what'd you do down there?
Me and the kid just did what kids do, tried to make fun out of nothing.
Okay.
Joking around, laying there, stuff like that. I mean, it's going far back, and my memory is not the greatest, but
Right.
his name was Bobby, I actually remember it.
Okay.
But then I was so bad, they switched me to another foster home because
Got
they
it.
couldn't handle me.
Okay.
And then, a couple of months there, that's when my grandfather got me out, and they took me to a senior only tower in McGuire. It's called Kennedy Towers.
Okay.
So
in
I was,
East Camden.
yeah, right in McGuire. In the middle of McGuire is a tower that's called Kennedy Towers.
Okay.
And I started going to Dudley School, but next thing you know, the tower said, you ain't supposed to have kids here.
Oh, because it was a
Seniors
senior
home.
home. Right.
So we moved us to AV, and that's how I moved to AV.
With your grandparents.
Yes.
Ah, okay. And so you were about 9 when after everything kind of settled down.
Yeah, 9.5.
Okay. So you mentioned your grandparents, you mentioned your mom, you never met your dad. You know how the people who raised you because you were there. What was your relationship like with the people you call your parents? Like, you can start in any order you want.
I mean, my mom, she had me when she was 16, so she was like inexperienced.
Okay.
But up till I was like after said, my brother was born. She was a good mom. I remember going everything from Six Flags to movies, driving movies to horseback riding, wrestling events and stuff
Really?
like that.
What was her name?
Barbara.
Oh, I should say, what is her name?
Barbara.
Okay, shout out to Miss Barbara.
She's passed away when I was 20, about year 2000, yes.
Condolences. Sorry to hear that.
That's no problem. Like I said, the drugs that eventually got to her, she died from overdose.
Of, what was it, crack, cocaine?
I think heroin.
Heroin.
She was age 36.
Okay. So she got caught up in like that mid-'80s,
Yeah.
early 90s, like drug wave that happened in the inner city.
And like I said,
And people think that it was, well, not think, but like when you think of that, like the crack epidemic and all the things that happened in the 80s, you think that only black people this happened to, because it hit the inner city hard. But it was also other like races that were in the inner city and outside in the suburbs as well, that it just hit everywhere.
I mean, once she got on that completely dominated her life. Everything was her next fix or hit, or so she didn't get sick. That,
What was your relationship like? What was that experience like growing up with your mom?
It was good until, like I said, she got into that, because every time, like, I didn't know who she was. Like, a complete flip, she changed. And everything was about getting money to get high, to stealing everything. After my grandfather died and my grandma moved and left me with my uncle and her, everything started disappearing out the house. From the washer to the TV, Walkman, and, eventually my dog, and then my Jerry Stackhouse sneakers, which I had in the closet, brand new. Bought them that day, wake up in the morning, put them on to go to the mall, just an empty box, gone.
Wow. Your dog disappeared?
Yeah.
What type of dog did you have?
I had a mixed Rottweiler and a Shepherd.
Boy?
Her name was Lucky.
Her,
yeah.
Lucky.
And I had her for 4 years, and a lot of people I even remember my dog, because, like, I had a trained dog. I trained her good, but I used to have her chasing people where they would jump on cars playing, like, stop playing. And I would eventually call her back. She ain't never bite nobody or nothing like that.
Right.
But
So what happened with that? You just woke up one morning? Or you came home from school? Like, how'd that happen?
Well, I woke up one morning, and all I know is the door was open. It was never left open.
Okay.
Because there's a screen door on the outside of the regular door. It was propped open.
So you like, that's unusual.
Unusual right there. And then there was somebody that I don't know sleeping on a chair.
In your house?
And yeah, my house.
Right.
My mom and everything like that. So I'm like, where's my dog?